Well, 24 hours after the US president outlined his plans for Afghanistan, the leaders of the Taliban have responded by declaring that Afghanistan will become a US graveyard. Donald Trump's administration is pressuring Pakistan to stop harbouring terrorists and to play a bigger role in bringing the Taliban to the negotiating table, as Ann Barker reports.
It stands to reason if the US wants to defeat the Taliban or force them to commit to peace, it can't succeed without the support of Pakistan. US President Donald Trump knows it won't be enough to send extra troops into Afghanistan, as he announced yesterday, but Pakistan must agree to stop Taliban militants seeking shelter across the border.
We have been paying Pakistan billions and billions of dollars. At the same time, they are housing the very terrorists that we are fighting. But that will have to change, and that will change immediately.
The execution of Osama bin Laden is a case in point when US forces snuck into Abbottabad in 2011 and killed the al-Qaeda leader in the dead of night. They did it without Islamabad's knowledge or consent because they knew there could be no guarantee Pakistani intelligence authorities wouldn't intervene. US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says there's been a loss of confidence between the two governments in recent years.
There's been an erosion in trust because we have witnessed terrorist organizations being given safe haven inside of Pakistan to plan and carry out attacks against U.S. servicemen, U.S. officials, disrupting peace efforts inside of Afghanistan. Pakistan must adopt a different approach, and we are ready to work with them to help them protect themselves against these terrorist organizations, but certainly to begin to end their attacks that are disrupting our efforts at peace.
And Rex Tillerson has warned of consequences if Islamabad doesn't agree to the US plan.
Obviously, we have some leverage that's been discussed in terms of the amount of aid and military assistance we give them, their status as a non-NATO alliance partner. All of that can be put on the table. But, you know, at the end of the day, Pakistan has to decide what is in Pakistan's best long-term interest from a security standpoint for themselves and for their people. Quite frankly, as I evaluate Pakistan's current situation, if I were the Pakistan government, I would have growing concerns about the strength of the Taliban and other organizations inside of Pakistan who seem to be growing their numbers and their presence to the point that at some point they become a real threat to the stability of the Pakistani government itself.
Pakistani politicians reject claims the country is sheltering terrorists. A military spokesman, Major General Asif Ghafoor, says Islamabad has taken action against all jihadist groups.
At this point in time, we have cleared all Pakistani territories. There is no organised infrastructure of any terrorist organisation in Pakistan.
Though a former Pakistani ambassador to the US, Hussein Haqqani, believes Donald Trump's plan is still worthy of consideration.
Initial Pakistan response is not going to be a measured one. It's going to be more nationalistic. But at some point, Pakistan has to weigh the options and see what do we want our country's future to be.
Trevor Thrall, a political analyst at the Cato Institute in Washington, says the US policy to put pressure on Pakistan is nothing new.
The United States has been pressuring Pakistan for a long time. And in fact, if you go back and compare Obama's 2009 speech about the surge and what we were going to be doing in Afghanistan, it was a lot like the speech we heard last night. More pressure on Afghanistan, more pressure on Pakistan. Now, should the United States call Pakistan out for funding, the Taliban, supporting terrorists, looking the other way? Of course, absolutely. But Pakistan's national interests are in the way here. They don't want what the United States wants in Afghanistan. They are more comfortable with the Taliban in Afghanistan than the United States, and they're going to drag their feet on this. I don't think we can expect very much different from Pakistan at this point.
One Pakistani analyst, Mohammad Amir, says the US plan is simplistic by focusing too much on Pakistan's role and not enough on the influence of countries like China and Russia, especially given Russia stands accused of supplying weapons to the Taliban. US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson.
To the extent Russia is supplying arms to the Taliban, that is a violation, obviously, of international norms, and it's a violation of UN Security Council norms. We certainly would object to that and call Russia's attention to that. if anyone's going to supply arms, it needs to be through the Afghan government.
And the Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has welcomed Donald Trump's plan, saying it's part of the joint struggle to rid the region of terrorism. The Taliban has denounced the US president and warned that Afghanistan will become the graveyard of the United States.
Anne Barker reporting.